Hi, I'm Chris from Airwindows. It's good to be back. I don't take breaks from plugin posting very often. I think last I went about half a year without a hesitation. I'm feeling more well-rested and good. You might notice I'm a little hoarse. I actually went to a convention. In fact, the convention that I went to was the final BronyCon, so technically I am a little hoarse. But apart from that, I have a plugin for you today. And it is called Vibrato. And the deal with Vibrato is basically it's exactly what it says in the tin. This is a plugin where you can set it to pitch vibrate what you've assigned it to, but it also has another feature, which is a FM. And the FM pitch modulates the pitch modulation. I'll show it to you on this clip called Spacey Clip. It'll sound kind of like this. You can hear it vibrating there. It defaults to a fairly fast vibrato. And of course you can go extreme. And we've got a very exponential behavior in here. Now, since this is a Airwindows plugin, I'm using the modulation type that I had from quite a while back and used on my flanger and chorus and so on. It's doing a funny kind of interpolation to get a cleaner effect. And I'll show you what happens when we start doing more interesting things with it. For instance, we can do a chorus effect by having dry mixed with wet, or we can do an inverse effect, which has the tendency of thinning things out a little bit. So you have two options for that. And as you can see, we can do a bit of a through zero flange here. But remember how we had the FM? This is a very fast FM speed. So that's what you get when you include FM modulation. Now granted, you crank it up enough and you might get some funny artifacts. For instance, and remember, FM is modulating the vibrato rate of the other one, so we can tune it back nicely simply by pulling back main depth. You don't necessarily have to pull back FM depth to get it to work. And if that's a little too extreme, we can get a nice little vibrato thing going on here. And then we can use it as a chorus. or the inverted form that'll thin stuff out a great deal. And of course, if you're doing a vibrato effect with a delay time, then increasing the depth is going to cause that to let more bass in. And also make a crazier, more intense noise. So there you have it. I'm not going to go on about this forever because in some ways it's a fairly simple little plugin. And it should be pretty straightforward. As you know, I've recently done the biquad filter stuff, and I'm working on some implementations as far as that's concerned. So I'll see if I can get that stuff going. But I've got the rest of the month pretty much. There's stuff in line for putting out over the rest of the month, and I'm looking forward to some of the things that are coming along. So even if I took a week, perhaps as many as 2 weeks over the course of the year to rest up and be healthy and go have fun at a con, if you'd like me to keep doing this kind of work, I'm supported by Patreon. And what that means is, if you would, like, it's really kind of up to people anyhow, because you know piracy is a thing, so people can very often just rip plugins anyway, but the reason you throw money at a developer is because you like what they do and you want them to do more. Well, if you want me to do more, you could throw $1 a month at my Patreon. If that's all you got, honestly, if that's all you got, I would just as soon support you by giving you stuff and letting you save up and have food and things like that. If you're able to buy plugins, for instance, you'd buy a plugin from me for, say, $50, and you'd likely pick up one a year, then you should be using all of my plugins and pick out one that you think is extra special and sort of pretend that you bought that one and sign up on the Patreon for $50 a year. If there are a bunch of plugins that have come out over the last year that you think are absolutely amazing, then pretend that it's, pretend that we're doing business and I'm selling these things, because that's a way of doing things. And sign up for multiples of $50 a year, or pretty much whatever. I have some people who can't really use Patreon, and they're just kind of throwing money by PayPal, which is awkward because that's another weird internet thing that doesn't always work well. But, here I still am doing this kind of stuff. And this is an older plugin, but I'm coming out with a bunch of newer plugins as well. And it does seem to work. And more importantly, it means that I can contribute what I can to people and open source projects and all manner of stuff. Like I am putting out Linux VSTs as well. I get to contribute to people who are not able to throw large amounts of money at me. Or I get to contribute to people who would buy a plugin or two and then can't afford to just keep, paying me, and need to be able to still use and access their work during lean months when they can't afford to pay a plugin bill. So my whole purpose for being here is to fill that gap. I think there are a lot of people, including a lot of musicians, that I'd like to hear their work. I'd like them to do more, who could use these tools. And there are a lot of people who are able to be like, oh, here, I'll get you a coffee. I will throw $50 a year in your direction. If there's enough of that, people just willingly helping me out as I do this thing that I feel is important, it kind of all works out. I don't wind up getting incredibly rich and driving around Lamborghinis. As cool as Lamborghinis are, I don't think I really need them. What I need to do is to do my work and see people being helped by it. And that's always the most important thing. So the next goal that's coming up is if I can clear $1,500 a month, I will start doing a Wednesday live stream and playing bits of and explaining classic vinyl records and how they were produced. And I'll do another live stream like that. That said, we haven't quite got there yet, and it's fine. But there is more to come. In any case, I believe that is enough for today. So I have been Chris from Airwindows. I am giving you Vibrato as Mac audio unit, Mac PC, and Linux VST. It's VST 2.4. And I hope you like them. Talk to you later.